Hello everyone. If you're enjoying this journey through time, please do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps us keep these immersive stories coming your way. And tell me, where exactly are you listening or watching from right now? What time is it for you as we step back together into history's embrace? It's a crisp autumn morning. The year is 1888. You find yourself standing just inside the bustling threshold of a Victorian workshop, a place where art and engineering dance a delicate waltz, hand in glove. The very first thing that hits you immediately is the scent. It's a complex, almost intoxicating perfume of creation, unlike anything you've ever experienced. Imagine the dry, woody aroma of freshly sawn mahogany, still raw and fibrous, mingles seamlessly with the sharp, almost medicinal tang of linseed oil. Beneath that, you catch a subtle, sweet, resinous note of shellac, varnish drying on newly crafted surfaces, giving the air a gentle, heady warmth. You push further inside, your woolen coat brushing against a stack of meticulously arranged wooden planks, their rich grain visible under the dusty light filtering through grimy, leaded windows high above. The air itself feels thick, warm not just with the temperature but with human industry, with focused effort. Your eyes try to focus through the haze of fine sawdust motes, dancing like tiny spirits in the oblique sunbeams that pierce the gloom. Around you, men in practical, often stained leather aprons bend intently over their individual workbenches, their hands a blur of meticulous, practiced motion. You watch one, his brow furrowed in concentration, his breath held almost imperceptibly as he carefully chisels a tiny, intricate cog from a sheet of polished brass. The metallic scrape of his tool against the metal is a quiet, rhythmic counterpoint to the distant, rhythmic hum of unseen machinery somewhere deeper within the workshop. Another craftsman, older with spectacles perched on his nose, meticulously oils a series of delicate steel combs, their finely tuned teeth gleaming under the gaslight, each one destined to strike a precise note within a complex mechanism. You lean closer, drawn by the sheer precision. Here, the scent of warm metal and a faint, sweet, almost almond-like oil now becomes dominant, tickling your nostrils. It's a complete sensory overload, yet utterly captivating. You can practically taste the sheer effort, the unyielding precision, the quiet shared dedication that fills this room. You realize this isn't just about making things, it's about coaxing future music from inert materials, crafting not just objects but dreams, one tiny, perfect piece at a time. This is where melodies are truly born, not from grand instruments but from an inventor's skilled hands, transforming wood and metal into a promise of enchantment. You feel the deep hum of life in this place, a quiet symphony of creation. It makes you wonder about the magic in small, intricate workings. You step away from the comforting aroma of wood shavings and linseed oil, following a deeper, more insistent hum that resonates not just through the air, but up from the very floorboards beneath your feet. As you navigate a narrow passage between towering stacks of finished casings, the air thickens, growing perceptibly warmer, carrying a sharp, almost acrid tang of hot metal and coal smoke. A sudden ear-splitting clang makes you instinctively flinch, a shockwave through your chest, before it settles into a rhythmic, almost hypnotic tap 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 that now dictates the pulse of this new domain. You've unmistakably entered the forge, a realm where art and raw power collide, bathed in the flickering orange glow of coal-fired furnaces. The heat here is a palpable presence, dry and intense, making the tiny hairs on your forearms prickle and a sheen of perspiration immediately bloom on your skin. Coarser dust, distinct from the fine sawdust of the outer workshops, dances thick in the air, catching the erratic light that spills from the hungry mouths of the furnaces. Your gaze is drawn almost magnetically to a hulking figure, his back to you, hunched with an almost devotional intensity over a heavy iron anvil. He wears a thick, all-stained leather apron, stiff with age and countless scorch marks, and his movements are a symphony of deliberate, powerful precision. With each focused, resounding strike of his heavy hammer, a vibrant shower of fiery orange sparks erupts, momentarily illuminating his grim, sweat-sheened face before dissolving into the pervasive gloom. The sound itself is not merely loud. It's a living, breathing entity, vibrating through the very soles of your boots, rattling deep in your bones. You edge closer, treading carefully, your eyes scanning the floor for stray, cooling scraps of iron, for fear of an unexpected burn. The craftsman isn't working on some colossal structural beam. Instead, he manipulates a slender, delicate strip of tool steel, no wider than your thumb. You watch, utterly mesmerized, as he deftly grips it with long, formidable tongs, plunges it into the glowing, molten heart of the forge until it blazes cherry red, then brings it swiftly to the anvil. The first strike is heavy, a reshaping blow designed to compress and temper. Then, with a surprising, almost surgical lightness, he transitions into a rapid series of lighter staccato taps, working the superheated metal. It's an intimate process, a relentless dialogue, hammering, heating, hammering again, slowly, painstakingly, coaxing the obdurate material into a particular unseen form, a comb tooth, perhaps, or a delicate spring. The air above the incandescent metal shimmers and distorts, and you can practically feel the immense, focused energy being poured into this small, unassuming piece. It's not just brute force. It's a profound act of negotiation, a test of will between man and element. He pauses, dips the now dark red piece into a bucket of water, and a sudden, violent hiss of steam rises like a ghostly sigh, the metal instantly transforming from fiery luminescence to dull, unforgiving gray. Then, without a moment's hesitation, he picks up another, equally small, half-finished component, a slender brass cylinder, its surface intricately dotted with an almost microscopic pattern of raised pins. With a tiny, impossibly fine file, he begins to delicately smooth the edges of each minuscule projection, his tongue caught between his teeth in concentration. Beyond him, another artisan, younger, with forearms corded with muscle, operates a grinding wheel, its whirring drone a constant counterpoint to the hammer's rhythm. He holds a metal comb against it, carefully sharpening each individual tooth, the rasping sound precise and unforgiving. You've moved from the din and heat of the forge through another, quieter section of the workshop, and now you find yourself standing before something utterly different. The first thing you notice is the abrupt drop in temperature. A distinct, cool chill emanating directly from the smooth, unyielding surface that separates you from what lies beyond. You instinctively reach out a hand, your fingertips brushing against the cool, slick pane of polished glass. It feels almost like a membrane, holding something precious and fragile apart from the dusty, industrious world you've just left. Behind this invisible barrier, bathed in a soft, diffused light that seems to highlight every exquisite detail, sits a row of completed or nearly completed music boxes. They aren't the raw components you saw being hammered and filed. These are finished articles, gleaming with the rich luster of fine wood and polished brass. Your gaze settles on one in particular, an opulent creation crafted from what looks like rosewood, its grain a swirling symphony of deep reds and browns. You lean closer, pressing your face almost against the cold glass, trying to decipher the minute craftsmanship. The lid, currently closed, is adorned with an intricate marquetry scene. A tiny pastoral landscape of rolling hills and a solitary deer pieced together from countless slivers of contrasting woods. It's breathtakingly detailed, a miniature painting rendered in timber. But it's through the glass side panel that you catch a true glimpse of its inner world. Here, the sheer complexity of the mechanism is laid bare. You see the gleaming brass cylinder studded with an almost unfathomable array of minuscule pins, each one positioned with absolute precision. Below it the steel comb, its delicate teeth poised, waiting to be plucked. Tiny gears, polished to a mirror sheen, interlock perfectly, promising fluid, silent motion. There's an almost unsettling stillness to these boxes. They are silent, expectant, like dormant creatures holding a breath. You can almost hear the quiet, internal tension of all those springs, cogs, and hammers, just waiting for the moment they're set free. You find yourself tracing the invisible lines of the mechanism with your finger on the cold glass, imagining the delicate dance that will soon unfold within. The coldness of the glass, the absolute silence, creates a strange contrast with the latent potential for sound and emotion held captive within the polished wood. It's a moment of quiet reverence, a pause before the magic truly begins, and you can't help but wonder about the delicate balance between the physical construction and the ethereal beauty it's designed to unleash. You're still standing there, transfixed by the array of silent music boxes behind their cold glass barrier, when a subtle shift in the light, a flicker of movement just at the edge of your vision, draws your attention away from the intricate gears. Then you hear it, a soft, almost imperceptible sigh, a delicate exhalation of breath, so close it feels as if it brushed past your ear, barely audible above the distant, muffled sounds of the workshop. You turn your head slowly, gently, and discover you're not alone. Right next to you, a child, no older than 5 or 6 perhaps, stands captivated. Their small, gloved hand is pressed flat against the cool pane, mirroring your own earlier gesture, but with an intensity that speaks volumes. They are dressed in slightly worn but neat clothes, a plain, dark coat, and a simple cap pulled low over their ears. Their face, utterly transfixed, is almost flattened against the glass, their breath forming a small, temporary cloud that quickly dissipates. Their eyes, wide and luminous, are utterly fixed on the very same rosewood music box that had captured your own imagination, the one with the marquetry deer on its lid. You watch them, mesmerized by their silent absorption. There's an adult nearby, a woman in a practical dark dress, her hand resting lightly, almost protectively on the child's shoulder. You catch a fleeting glimpse of her face. A look of quiet understanding, tinged perhaps with a touch of gentle resignation. The child doesn't speak a single word, doesn't make a sound, yet their entire small being radiates an intense, undeniable longing. You see their lips part, forming a silent, unvoiced request, a delicate, soundless "oh," as their fingers trace the invisible outlines of the deer and the delicate brass pins inside the mechanism. They pull back slightly, their head tilting as if trying to peer deeper to somehow will the dormant melodies to awaken through sheer force of will. The quiet tension in the scene is almost palpable, a profound, unarticulated plea hanging in the air. This isn't just simple admiration, it's a deep, yearning hunger for the magic promised by the silent, exquisite box. The woman offers a soft, almost imperceptible shake of her head, a gentle, sorrowful gesture that speaks louder than any words. The child's shoulders slump ever so slightly, a fleeting moment of pure, innocent disappointment washing over their face, before their gaze returns, still hopeful, to the beautiful, silent creation. You realize then that sometimes the most profound requests aren't spoken at all. They are felt, seen in the curve of a small spine, the intense, unwavering plea of a child's hopeful eyes for a moment of pure, captured beauty. You find yourself in a quieter corner now, a space that feels distinctly different from the bustling, sawdust-filled workshop you just navigated. The industrial clangor of the forge is a distant, muffled echo replaced here by a softer, almost reverent quiet that seems to absorb sound rather than reflect it. Before you, resting on a polished mahogany counter that gleams under the subdued gaslight, is a rectangular object, unassuming at first glance, yet possessing an undeniable aura of understated elegance. Your hand reaches out, almost instinctively drawn to its surface, an invisible pull guiding your touch. The moment your fingertips make contact, you feel it, the unmistakable, luxurious texture of velvet. It's a deep, rich crimson, a color so profound it seems to absorb the very light around it rather than reflecting it, making the object appear to sink into itself, a small dark pool of opulent fabric. The material feels remarkably soft beneath your touch, yielding slightly with a faint, almost imperceptible whisper against your skin, yet it feels substantial, thick with the weight of quality and perhaps centuries of silent protection. As you draw your hand away, a faint, almost unplaceable scent clings to your fingers, a subtle blend of aged wood, a hint of fine leather, and something vaguely perfumed, perhaps the lingering trace of a forgotten occupant or a delicate potpourri once held close. It's a scent that whispers of history, of quiet dignity, and of secrets carefully kept within its plush confines. You watch captivated as a finely gloved hand, belonging to a dignified figure nearby, perhaps the workshop's proprietor or a knowledgeable sales assistant, gently approaches the object. With an almost ceremonial slowness, their fingers grasp a small, ornate brass clasp, clicking it softly open. The lid is then lifted with a graceful, measured movement, revealing the inner sanctuary of the box. It moves with a smooth, silent precision that speaks volumes about its craftsmanship. The crimson velvet continues inside, lining every surface of the interior with opulent plushness, a perfect, soft nest awaiting its precious cargo. And it is not empty. Nestled within this velvety embrace like a jewel set in its deepest red cushion lies a music box. This particular one is smaller, more intimate in scale than the grand, elaborate pieces you glimpsed through the cold glass barrier of the display cases, yet it is no less exquisitely crafted. Its casing is a dark, highly polished ebony, so deep and lustrous it seems to absorb the surrounding light, creating a stark, dramatic contrast with the vibrant crimson velvet that cradles it. The intricate wood grain, visible only under the closest inspection, hints at countless hours of careful sanding and polishing. You lean in closer, your breath held trying to catch a glimpse of its inner workings, but the lid remains open just enough to reveal only the rich protective lining and a hint of a polished brass winding key. The presentation is meticulous. Every element, from the soft sheen of the wood to the deep embrace of the velvet, is designed to evoke a sense of reverence. The attention to detail, even in the way it is presented to you, speaks volumes about the immense value placed upon the delicate instrument it cradles. You realize that this box, in its quiet elegance and protective embrace, is more than just a container. It is a silent promise, a guardian of melodies yet to be played, a soft shield for something truly precious, something that holds a piece of captured time within its intricate mechanism. The velvet doesn't just protect, it elevates, transforming the music box from a mere object into an artifact of desire, an heirloom, a vessel of future joy held safe and silent within its deep red heart. You're still standing there, utterly absorbed by the ebony music box nestled in its crimson velvet cradle, its polished surface reflecting the subdued light. The air in this quiet corner feels heavy with anticipation, a profound stillness clinging to every surface, as if the very atoms of the room are holding their breath. Then the proprietor, or perhaps the knowledgeable assistant whose gloved hand you observed earlier, reaches out again. This time their fingers move with an even greater, almost ritualistic care towards the side of the music box. You lean in, your focus absolute, drawn by the subtle glint of polished brass. Their thumb and forefinger delicately grasp a small, ornate winding key, a miniature sculpture in itself, fixed to the side of the box. There's a barely audible, almost imperceptible whisper of friction as the mechanism engages. You hear the faint, delicate click-click-click of the internal gears tightening, the spring coiling, building up the silent, unseen energy that will soon be released. The winding motion is slow, deliberate, each turn a precise increment towards the unleashing of its hidden magic. You can practically feel the tension building, a tightly coiled promise within the ebony casing. Your own breath feels shallow, held in your chest, in unison with the profound quiet that has descended upon the small space. Then the hand withdraws, hovering for a moment, creating a dramatic, expectant pause, and then it happens. A single crystalline note, delicate as spun glass, emerges from the ebony box. It's a pure, almost ethereal sound, piercing the pervasive silence with an unexpected, almost shocking clarity. It hangs in the air for a fraction of a second, shimmering before being joined by another, and then another, building into a simple, haunting melody. It's a tune you might vaguely recognize, perhaps a forgotten lullaby or a cherished folk song, familiar yet entirely fresh in this exquisite mechanical rendition. The music isn't loud, It's subtle, intimate, yet it completely fills the room, permeating every corner. Each note from the tiny, vibrating steel comb is perfectly articulated, a miniature masterpiece of precision and warmth. You find yourself utterly enveloped, caught within the delicate cascade of sound. It feels as if time itself has slowed, and for a few brief moments, the entire world outside this small, velvet-lined sanctuary has ceased to exist. The melody rises and falls with a gentle, hypnotic rhythm, carrying with it a profound sense of nostalgia, a quiet elegance that speaks of forgotten parlors and cherished memories. You glance at the proprietor. Their face, usually composed, now holds a soft, almost reverent expression, their eyes closed for a fleeting instant as they too become lost in the melody. You notice a faint, almost imperceptible twitch at the corner of their lips, a hint of a smile, as if they are recalling a distant, pleasant memory conjured by the very notes filling the air. This small, unadorned box, a marvel of human ingenuity, has somehow managed to capture not just a tune, but a snippet of pure distilled emotion. It's a silent, shared moment of connection, an unspoken understanding of beauty. As the final notes gently fade, leaving only a shimmering echo in the sudden, profound quiet that follows, you feel a deep, almost melancholic sense of wonder. The music box becomes more than just an object. It's a living repository of fleeting emotions, a small miracle capable of touching the deepest parts of your soul, proving that even the most intricate mechanical creation can hold a profound and timeless whisper of the human heart. The soft, persistent chill of an early evening now clings to the air, a distinct contrast to the workshop's earlier warmth. You've moved from the bustling daylight through the fading light of a Victorian street and now step into the hushed comfort of a drawing room. The first thing that greets you is the subtle, almost metallic scent of burning gas, clean and a little sharp, mingling with the deeper, comforting aroma of wood smoke from a nearby fireplace. It's a delicate perfume of evening, of quiet domesticity. The room itself is bathed in a warm, flickering glow cast by a gaslight fixture on the wall and the gentle dance of flames in a grimy hearth. Long, shifting shadows stretch and contract across the patterned wallpaper, reaching like silent, grasping fingers into the corners of the room, making familiar objects appear otherworldly and mysterious. The outside world, with its rumbling carriages and distant cries, feels entirely shut away, replaced by an intimate, almost dreamlike quiet. And then you hear it. The delicate, precise notes of a music box, a melody you recognize from the small ebony box in its velvet cradle. It's playing softly from a side table, its intricate tune weaving itself into the very fabric of the fading light and dancing shadows. This time the music feels less like a performance and more like a shared secret, a gentle companion to the encroaching darkness. Each note, pure and crystalline, seems to hang in the air for a longer moment, echoing slightly in the soft furnishings of the room before gracefully fading into the next. You turn your head and see a small group gathered, their faces softened by the gaslight's glow. There's the proprietor you encountered in the workshop, perhaps now in more formal evening attire, his gaze fixed on the music box with a quiet reverence. Beside him, a woman, possibly his wife or a family member, sits with her hands clasped, a faint, contented smile playing on her lips as she listens. You notice the child from earlier, the one whose silent plea you witnessed at the display window, now perched on a stool, absolutely still. Their small head is tilted, listening with an almost profound concentration, their wide eyes reflecting the tiny, dancing flames of the gaslight, and a look of pure, unadulterated wonder is painted on their face. There's no fidgeting, no restless energy, just utter, complete absorption. The music box continues its delicate performance, a small mechanical heart beating in the quiet room. Its tune seems to draw everyone into a shared space of calm, a gentle current pulling at memories and unspoken emotions. You feel a warmth spread through you, distinct from the fire's heat, a warmth born of connection, of shared stillness, of a melody that transcends words and draws souls together. It is a quiet reminder that even in the most ordinary of evenings, a shared tune, a flickering light, and the gentle presence of others can weave moments of profound, simple grace. It makes you realize how essential these small, crafted wonders are, not just for their mechanical genius, but for the silent, beautiful bonds they forge between people. The gaslight continues to cast its warm, dancing glow across the drawing room, but now the initial quiet reverence has gently softened into a comfortable, living hum. The music box still plays its enchanting melody, a silver thread of sound weaving through the air, but it's no longer the sole focus of the room. It has become part of the very rhythm of the evening, a gentle, melodic backdrop to the unfolding scene of quiet domesticity. The air is still fragrant with a hint of wood smoke and that subtle metallic tang of the gas, but now you also catch the faint, sweet scent of warm tea being poured somewhere nearby, adding another layer of comforting aroma to the atmosphere. You watch the woman, earlier caught in quiet contemplation of the music, now settled into a plush armchair by the fireplace. Her hands move with a practiced, almost hypnotic rhythm as she works at a piece of intricate embroidery. The needle glints softly in the gaslight as it passes through the fabric, each tiny, deliberate stitch a testament to focused, repetitive creation, much like the precise workings of the music box itself. The soft rustle of her dress, the gentle click of her thimble against the needle, blend seamlessly with the music, forming a symphony of ordinary, cherished sounds. The proprietor, his earlier intensity now relaxed, slowly raises a teacup to his lips, his gaze occasionally drifting to the flickering flames in the hearth. There's a subtle, almost imperceptible sigh as he settles deeper into his chair, a quiet exhale of contentment. It's a moment of peace, of earned rest after a day of intricate work and focused precision. The music box plays on, its tune now a familiar, welcome presence, a comforting constant in the changing light of the room. And the child, their earlier wide-eyed wonder now transformed into a quiet, almost meditative absorption, has pulled a small wooden toy closer. You see them gently rocking it back and forth, their movements in perfect, unconscious sync with the music box's tempo. Their lips are parted slightly, a silent internal humming perhaps, as if the melody has taken root deep within them, resonating with their own innocent, imaginative world. They are completely present, utterly content, held captive by the simple, beautiful moment. The gaslight dims almost imperceptibly as the evening deepens and the shadows grow longer, softer. Yet there's no sense of encroaching gloom. Instead, a feeling of deep, abiding comfort settles over you. It's the quiet magic of routine, the unhurried grace of shared presence, and the subtle, unwavering power of a simple melody to anchor a moment in time. You realize that these small, intricately crafted music boxes aren't just mechanical marvels. They are gentle anchors in the rhythm of life, providing a melodic pulse to quiet evenings, weaving memories into the fabric of daily existence, and transforming the mundane into something truly precious. They are a constant, gentle reminder of beauty in the quietest corners of domestic life. The thick velvet curtains are drawn tight, sealing off the room from the clamor of the city outside, creating an intimate, hushed sanctuary against the late Victorian night. Here the air is still and carries the faint, dry scent of old paper, mingled with the almost imperceptible metallic tang of recently extinguished lamp oil, replaced now by the softer glow of a single, carefully trimmed candle on a small writing desk. Its gentle flame casts long, dancing shadows, making the room feel both vast and exquisitely personal. You instinctively feel the cool, polished wood of the desk beneath your fingertips as you lean closer, drawn into the quiet intimacy of the scene. Before you, bathed in that soft, golden light, sits a woman. Her back is mostly to you, but her posture speaks volumes of quiet concentration. Her hair, elaborately styled earlier in the day, has loosened, and a few stray tendrils brush against the collar of her dark, modest dressing gown. Her hands, delicate yet purposeful, are resting on an open leather-bound diary, its pages filled with elegant, sloping script. Beside it, not the grand music box you saw earlier, but a much smaller, simpler one crafted from a dark, unadorned wood, its surface smooth and warm to the touch. It seems almost unassuming, yet it holds an undeniable gravity in this silent space. With a gentle, almost hesitant movement, she reaches for the small winding key on the side of the music box. You hear the faint, delicate whir of the mechanism as she turns it, a soft, deliberate cadence that seems to punctuate the silence, winding the spring with care. There's no sudden flourish, no grand gesture. Just a quiet, almost ritualistic preparation. Then she lets go, and a single clear note rings out, pure and bright, followed swiftly by others, weaving into a melody that is distinctively private, almost a whisper meant only for her. The tune is not a popular waltz or a cheerful march. Instead, it's a subtle, almost plaintive air, delicate and intricate, yet imbued with a profound sense of introspection. Each note feels carefully chosen, each phrase a question or a memory. You watch her intently. As the music begins to play, her gaze drops to the open diary. You see her eyes trace the words on the page, her expression softening, a barely perceptible flicker of emotion crossing her features, a touch of nostalgia, perhaps a fleeting moment of sorrow, or a quiet internal smile. The melody seems to unlock something within her, a silent key turning in the lock of her memories. She doesn't write as it plays. She listens, her head tilted, absorbed, as if the notes are speaking directly to her, confirming or gently prompting the narratives written on the page. Her fingers then brush lightly, almost reverently, across a particular entry in the diary, her touch a delicate echo of the music's tender flow. It's clear that this melody is not just a tune. It's a code, a secret language shared between her and the pages before her, a specific passage of her life given voice through these carefully crafted notes. This isn't a performance for others. It's a deeply personal act, a moment of profound communion with her own past. The music box becomes a silent confessor, a melodic companion to the unspoken thoughts and feelings poured out onto paper. You realize then how deeply these seemingly simple mechanisms could intertwine with human lives, holding not just tunes, but intimate histories, secret sorrows, and private joys, ready to be unlocked by a single resonant note. It's a powerful reminder that some stories are best told and heard in the quietest corners of the heart. The small, unassuming music box continues its delicate, intricate tune, each note a precious pearl dropped into the profound quiet of the room. The candlelight, unwavering, paints long, shifting shadows across the woman's face, highlighting the subtle dance of emotions playing out beneath her composed exterior. You notice the air, earlier smelling of old paper, now seems to hold a faint, almost ghost-like perfume of something else entirely, perhaps a whisper of lilac or the fresh, green scent of a forgotten spring garden, a scent that exists only in the space of memory the melody has conjured. You feel a subtle chill brush your skin, not from the temperature, but from the raw, open vulnerability of the moment. Her hand, still resting gently on the open page of her leather-bound diary, now trembles almost imperceptibly. Her eyes are not truly reading the elegant script anymore. Instead, they are distant, unfocused, lost in an internal landscape painted by the music's tender chords. You watch as a single, delicate finger slowly, almost unconsciously, traces an invisible line down the page, as if following a phantom thread leading deeper into her past. A soft, wistful sigh escapes her lips, barely audible yet profound in its quiet honesty. It's a sound laden with a tenderness that borders on pain, a quiet ache of recollection. The melody continues its gentle cascade, and you feel its melancholic sweetness settle around you. This isn't a tune of grand passion or tragic loss. It's a song of quiet yearning, of affection held close and perhaps never fully spoken. Her head tilts slightly, almost imperceptibly, as if she's listening not just with her ears but with her very soul to an echo that only she can truly hear. You perceive a faint, almost translucent blush rise to her cheeks, a fleeting color that quickly fades, like the last embers of a warm memory. Her other hand, the one not resting on the diary, now rises slowly, hesitantly to touch a tiny, almost hidden locket at her throat, her fingers brushing the cold metal with a feather-light tenderness. It's a gesture of profound intimacy, a silent communion with a cherished, perhaps distant, image. The music box seems to breathe with her, its notes becoming extensions of her unspoken feelings, each chime a testament to a love that never quite found its voice in the clamor of the world. It's a love perhaps constrained by circumstance, by duty, or by the unspoken rules of a bygone era. You feel the profound weight of what remains unsaid, of what has been carefully contained within the pages of a private journal and entrusted to the delicate precision of a musical mechanism. As the final, lingering notes of the melody gently fade into the surrounding stillness, leaving behind only the soft flicker of the candle, a deep sense of quiet understanding settles over you. It makes you realize that true love doesn't always need grand pronouncements or a public stage. Sometimes it thrives and endures in the hushed corners of memory, a private, cherished melody forever playing in the heart, an echo that never truly fades. You push open a heavy lacquered door and immediately a wave of profound quiet washes over you, dampening the faint echoes of the bustling house beyond. The air in this room is soft, almost palpable, and carries a unique, comforting blend of scents. The delicate, sweet whisper of baby powder, the clean, crisp aroma of freshly laundered linen, and a subtle, milky warmth that speaks of infancy. Your eyes adjust to the muted light, where a single gas sconce turned low casts a gentle golden glow, painting the walls with long, peaceful shadows that stretch and sway like sleeping giants. Then you hear it, a delicate, tinkling melody, a simple, repetitive tune that floats on the air like spun sugar. It's undeniably a lullaby, its notes pure and crystalline, weaving a calming spell. The sound seems to emanate from the corner of the room, drawing your gaze towards a deeply carved wooden rocking chair. There, a woman is seated, her silhouette softened by the dim light, her movements slow, rhythmic, and utterly graceful. In her arms, a small blanket-swathed bundle is held close, cradled with a profound, almost primal tenderness. You step further into the nursery, the floorboards sighing softly beneath your weight, a barely audible counterpoint to the quiet harmony of the room. On a small, polished side table next to the rocking chair, you spot the source of the melody. It's a simple, unadorned music box, its wooden casing a smooth, dark brown, reflecting the gaslight like a tiny, placid pool. Its lid is open, revealing the delicate brass cylinder and the finely tuned steel comb, shimmering faintly as the pins on the cylinder brush past, plucking each note with flawless precision. The mechanism hums a barely perceptible rhythm beneath the music, a steady mechanical heart beating out comfort. Your eyes drift from the music box to the woman's face, softened by the low light. Her gaze is unwavering, fixed entirely on the tiny, sleeping form in her arms. You catch a glimpse of the baby, a perfect miniature hand curled against its cheek, its chest rising and falling with the light, even rhythm of sleep. The melody from the music box seems to envelop them both, creating a quiet bubble of peace, a sanctuary against the world. You feel a profound sense of serenity settle over you, watching this timeless scene unfold. The repetitive, gentle melody isn't just a tune, it's a tangible presence, a soft, unwavering thread of comfort that weaves itself into the very essence of the room, calming restless spirits and lulling tiny lives to sleep. It makes you understand that sometimes the simplest, most enduring magic comes not from grand gestures, but from the quiet, rhythmic beauty that soothes us into dreams, a universal promise of peace held within a mechanical lullaby. The air is heavy here, thick and still, carrying a faint, musty scent of enclosed spaces and something else, a pervasive, almost palpable aroma of lilies and beeswax, overlaid with the sharp, clean tang of disinfectant. You've stepped into what was once a vibrant drawing room, but it has been utterly transformed. Every surface seems to be draped in black crepe, its heavy folds muffling any sound, absorbing the light, and casting the entire space into a profound, somber gloom. The very air feels cold, a damp chill that seems to seep into your bones, despite the glowing embers in a nearby fireplace, which struggle to pierce the pervasive darkness. Your eyes, straining to adjust, pick out the dark shapes of furniture shrouded and still, like silent mourners themselves. The familiar rhythm of domestic life, the comfortable hum of the gaslit evening has vanished, replaced by an unsettling quiet that presses in on your ears, making the silence itself feel like a presence. Then a sound so delicate it almost escapes you pierces this heavy quiet. It's the unmistakable ethereal tinkle of a music box, playing a slow, mournful tune that feels entirely out of place, yet utterly perfect, in this house draped in black. It is the very same lullaby you heard in the nursery, but its gentle notes are now imbued with an unbearable sadness, a profound sense of loss that echoes through the solemn room. You watch a figure, a woman seated by the fire, her back to you, a silhouette against the struggling light. Her form is entirely swathed in black, a heavy veil falling from her head obscuring her face. Her hands, clasped tightly in her lap, are almost painfully still. The source of the mournful melody is a small, plain music box sitting on a shrouded side table. It's not the elaborate, highly polished box you saw in the workshop. This one is simpler, almost austere, but its notes carry a weight that transcends its humble appearance. The mechanism turns, the tiny pins on its cylinder brushing the steel comb, each chime a tear, each phrase a whispered lament. The woman doesn't move, doesn't stir. She simply sits there, utterly motionless, her entire being seemingly absorbed by the heartbreakingly familiar tune. It's clear this isn't a choice for entertainment. It's an act of profound, solitary grief. The melody, once a sweet promise of comfort and sleep, now feels like a lament for a life cut short, a gentle echo of what once was. You perceive her shoulders tremble almost imperceptibly, a silent tremor that speaks of a grief too deep for tears, too raw for outward expression. The music is her companion, her confidant, giving voice to a sorrow that has no words. You realize that the lullaby, once a balm, is now a beautiful, painful memory made audible, played again and again not to soothe, but to mark the ache of absence. It's a profound moment of quiet suffering, a personal ritual of remembrance. As the music gently fades, leaving only the profound crepidec silence, you understand that these small, intricate boxes possess an extraordinary power, not just to capture joy but also to hold, to express, and to carry the weight of an immeasurable sorrow, becoming the silent, steadfast witnesses to the deepest human experiences, a testament to enduring love, even in the face of absolute loss. You step through the grand, carved oak doors, and a wave of opulent sound and scent washes over you, utterly distinct from the workshop's industry or the hushed quiet of a private study. The air is rich, thick with the heady perfume of exotic flowers, the subtle, lingering smoke of fine Havana cigars, and the tantalizing aroma of delicate canapés and expensive champagne. It's a sensory feast, a vibrant symphony of high Victorian society. The clink of crystal glasses, the murmur of refined chatter, the rustle of silk and taffeta dresses, all weave into a lively, sophisticated hum that fills the cavernous drawing room. Your eyes sweep across the scene. Chandeliers drip with glittering prisms, casting 1,000 dancing reflections onto the ornate gilded mirrors and the exquisite oil paintings that adorn the walls. Figures in impeccably tailored suits and sweeping gowns drift and gather in elegant clusters, their laughter light and silvery. It's a world of polished surfaces and hushed conversations, a place where status and refinement are as tangible as the heavy velvet drapes at the tall windows. Then a subtle shift occurs. A ripple of anticipation, an almost imperceptible hush begins to spread from the center of the room. Heads turn, conversations dwindle to whispers, and people slowly, gracefully begin to converge. Your gaze is drawn, along with everyone else's, towards a prominent alcove, exquisitely decorated with rich tapestries. There, positioned on a gleaming pedestal draped in emerald green velvet, sits the most magnificent music box you have yet encountered. It is truly a marvel. Its casing is a rich dark burl wood, inlaid with intricate mother-of-pearl motifs that shimmer like captured moonlight. Tiny, delicate gold filigree curls around its edges, and atop its lid, a miniature mechanized ballerina frozen in a poised pirouette stands ready to dance. This isn't a humble lullaby box. This is a grand statement piece, a jewel of mechanical artistry designed to command attention. A gentleman in crisp evening wear, perhaps the evening's host, approaches the pedestal with a theatrical flourish, a subtle smile playing on his lips. His white-gloved hand reaches for the winding key, a substantial, ornate piece of brass. A collective intake of breath, a rustle of anticipation sweeps through the gathered onlookers. You hear the deep, resonant asterisk whir as he meticulously winds the mechanism, each turn a deliberate act, building the tension, promising a grand unveiling. The entire room holds its breath, captivated by the ritual. He steps back, a grand gesture, a tiny click, a delicate release, and then the music erupts. It's not a simple tune, it's a full, rich orchestral melody, a vibrant waltz or a complex opera overture, rendered with breathtaking clarity by the hundreds of finely tuned steel teeth. The notes cascade through the room, filling every corner, washing over the guests in a wave of harmonious sound. And as the music begins, the miniature ballerina on the lid slowly, gracefully begins to spin, her tiny form twirling in perfect synchronization, a mesmerizing dance in miniature. Faces around you are alight with wonder and admiration. Women fan themselves delicately, their eyes wide. Gentlemen nod approvingly, a shared look of awe passing between them. A young woman, her face flushed with excitement, clutches her partner's arm, her lips forming a silent, "Oh." The music box becomes more than just a musical instrument. It transforms into a shared experience of pure mechanical magic, a dazzling display of human ingenuity and artistic ambition, capturing the hearts and minds of an entire room in its delicate, intricate embrace. It's a powerful demonstration of how art, even in its most mechanical form, can effortlessly bridge divides, creating a fleeting, beautiful unity in shared wonder. The final, delicate notes of the waltz from the magnificent music box shimmer and fade into the opulent air of the drawing room, leaving behind a silence that, for a brief moment, feels even grander than the music itself. The miniature ballerina on the lid comes to a gentle stop, poised as if awaiting further instruction. For a fleeting instant the shared wonder holds, a collective breath still caught in every guest's chest. Then, like a ripple across a still pond, the polite murmurs and the soft clink of glasses begin to return, slowly at first, then building back into the familiar hum of the soiree. You feel the shift in the atmosphere almost immediately. The unified awe that had captivated the room now begins to fragment, dissolving into something more complex, less harmonious. Your gaze drifts across the finely dressed guests. While many still wear expressions of genuine admiration, a different, more subtle emotion begins to surface on other faces, a faint undercurrent beneath the polished veneers. You notice a woman in a sweeping emerald gown, her fan slowly closing with a soft asterisk snap asterisk. Her smile, previously bright, now seems a fraction too tight, a little brittle around the edges, as her eyes linger on the exquisite burl wood and glittering mother-of-pearl of the music box. You perceive a slight, almost imperceptible twitch at the corner of her lips, a hint of something uncharitable. Just behind her, a gentleman impeccably dressed gives a barely perceptible shrug to his companion, his gaze sweeping over the intricate mechanism with a dismissive air, as if to imply, indeed, a trinket, nothing more. The rustle of silk skirts and the gentle whisper of a whispered comment seem to follow his gesture, carrying a faint tang of disapproval or competitive pride. Your hand, still warm from the champagne glass you'd been holding, feels a sudden, unexpected coolness as you witness these subtle shifts. It's a distinct contrast to the earlier warmth of shared appreciation. Another woman, her posture rigid, turns slightly away from the grand music box, engaging her companion in a rapid, animated conversation, her tone a little too insistent, her laughter a shade too loud. It's a deliberate turning away, a refusal to acknowledge the beauty that had just enchanted the room, almost as if the brilliance of the object casts an uncomfortable light on her own hidden desires. You catch a glimpse of a young man, his brow furrowed, his fingers tightening almost unconsciously on the delicate stem of his wine glass. His gaze, rather than lingering on the mechanical marvel itself, seems to fix on the host, a look of thinly veiled aspiration, a silent question of how, or why not me, in his eyes. The room, for all its finery and glittering surface, now feels threaded with these quiet, unspoken currents of human ambition and discontent. As the soiree's hum returns to its full volume, a distinct scent of freshly cut roses, previously delightful, now seems almost cloying, weighted down by the invisible pressures in the air. You realize that even the most beautiful creations designed to bring pure joy and wonder can sometimes act as a mirror, reflecting not just the light, but also the darker, more intricate facets of human nature, stirring the quiet, restless heart of envy within an otherwise perfectly composed gathering. You push open a heavy, grimy door, and a wall of sound hits you immediately, utterly assaulting your senses. It's a deafening, overwhelming roar, a chaotic symphony of metallic shrieks, rhythmic clangs, and the relentless piston-driven hiss of steam. The air itself feels thick, heavy with the sharp, acrid stench of hot oil, burnt metal, and coal dust, clinging to the back of your throat. It's a profound shock after the hushed elegance of the drawing room, a brutal awakening to a different kind of Victorian reality. You step further inside, squinting through the swirling haze of steam and dust that dances in the weak, industrial light filtering through huge, soot-stained windows high above. This isn't a workshop. It's a vast, cavernous factory floor, a sprawling landscape of gargantuan machinery that groans and grinds with an almost terrifying, insatiable appetite. Massive flywheels spin with blurring speed, leather belts whip and slap through the air like colossal snakes, and everywhere the rhythmic thud of immense hammers shakes the very ground beneath your boots, vibrating up through your legs and into your chest. You watch, utterly transfixed and slightly disoriented, as steel presses slam down with bone-jarring force, stamping out identical shapes from long sheets of metal with sickening precision. Sparks, not the gentle ones from a craftsman's forge, but great showers of incandescent orange and white, fly violently from the impact zones, momentarily illuminating the grime-streaked faces of the men and boys who tend these colossal beasts. Their movements are swift, repetitive, almost robotic, a stark contrast to the patient, meticulous handiwork of the artisans. They feed the metal into the machines, pull levers, and clear away the endless procession of newly formed components with a stoic, almost weary efficiency. Your gaze lands on a section where long, thin strips of steel are being fed into a rolling machine. With a groaning, protesting rumble, it flattens and stretches the metal, making it thinner, stronger, perfectly uniform, destined to become hundreds, thousands of comb teeth for countless music boxes. Further along, a complex jig holds a dozen small brass cylinders at once, as a multi-headed drill descends with a high-pitched whine, boring out the precise, identical pinholes in a single, simultaneous action. The scale is staggering, almost impersonal. This isn't about the individual, heartfelt creation you witnessed earlier. This is about volume, about speed, about transforming raw materials into a seemingly endless stream of perfectly identical parts. The constant thundering rhythm of the machinery feels oppressive, a relentless pulse that dictates every movement, every breath, every waking moment. You catch a glimpse of a young boy, barely old enough to see over the top of his machine, wiping sweat from his brow with a greasy cloth, his eyes distant, focused inwards. It makes you realize the profound, almost brutal beauty of mass production, the sheer force required to bring even the most delicate of melodies into the homes of a growing world, all born from this deafening, unrelenting roar of iron and steam, a testament to raw human industry and the colossal, unwavering price of progress. You've navigated through the deafening heart of the factory floor, the relentless clangor of the presses, and the shriek of grinders still echoing in your ears. Now you find yourself in a different section, a long, brightly lit room, yet the air here remains thick with the scent of hot metal and machine oil, though it's softened by a new aroma. The faint metallic tang of countless small components. The noise, while still considerable, has shifted. It's less an unholy roar and more a persistent, rhythmic hum, punctuated by precise, delicate clicks and tiny metallic whispers. You stand by a long wooden workbench, bathed in the stark, unwavering light of several overhead gas lamps. Rows upon rows of identical, newly stamped steel coms lie neatly arranged, their finely cut teeth gleaming. Beside them, stacks of brass cylinders, each one a miniature minefield of meticulously bored pins, await their destiny. This isn't the individual craftsmanship of the earlier workshop. This is assembly carried out with a methodical, almost surgical efficiency that speaks of endless repetition. Your eyes fix on a young woman, her hands moving with an astonishing, almost blur-like speed. Her fingers, stained with oil, delicately pluck one of the steel combs from its tray. With a precise asterisk snick, she guides it into a small, partially assembled wooden casing. Next, she reaches for a brass cylinder, its pins shining like tiny jewels. You watch, utterly mesmerized, as she slots it onto an awaiting spindle with a faint, almost imperceptible asterisk click asterisk. Her focus is absolute, her brow furrowed in concentration, as if the entire weight of the world, or at least the quality of the ensuing melody, rests solely on her steady hands. Around her, other workers perform the same precise dance, each contributing a vital, tiny piece to hundreds of future music boxes. You lean closer, trying to discern the minute adjustments. She now takes a tiny coiled spring, no bigger than your fingernail, and with an incredibly fine pair of tweezers secures it into place. This is the heart of the mechanism, the unseen power that will give life to the inert components. Then the moment arrives. She carefully secures the winding key. With a deep, almost involuntary breath, she turns it. The gears within engage with a soft, resonant asterisk whir asterisk, building tension. And then from the small, unadorned box, still lacking its final polish and decorative casing, a single clear note rings out, a perfect, bell-like asterisk ping asterisk. It's astonishing, the sudden purity of that sound, emerging from this environment of industrial grit and relentless noise. It's a delicate, almost defiant whisper of beauty, a proof that amidst the clamor and efficiency of the factory, a soul is being meticulously assembled. She listens intently, a faint, fleeting smile gracing her lips, before she quickly, methodically closes the mechanism with another soft click and places the now tested box onto a conveyor ready for the next stage. It makes you realize that even in the most impersonal of settings, where precision and volume reign supreme, the human touch remains indispensable, translating the roar of iron gears into the delicate, heartwarming promise of a beautiful, resonant air. You find yourself drawn to a soft, inviting gleam, a subtle luminescence that pierces the subdued light of a high-end salon. The air here is hushed, imbued with the delicate scent of polished wood and fine leather, a quiet reverence clinging to every surface. Your fingers brush against a cool, smooth pane of glass, an invisible barrier separating you from the captivating display within a grand, intricately carved cabinet. The sense of calm is profound, a stark contrast to the clatter of the streets outside, inviting you to slow down to observe. Your gaze is immediately captured by the centerpiece of the cabinet, a truly magnificent music box, its dark, lustrous wood casing inlaid with shimmering mother-of-pearl and polished brass. But what truly commands your attention sits atop it, beneath a delicate, perfectly clear glass dome. There, poised on a tiny mirrored stage, is a miniature ballerina. She is exquisitely crafted, perhaps from porcelain or ivory, her delicate arms curved gracefully, one leg lifted in an eternal, elegant arabesque. Her tiny hand-painted face holds an expression of serene beauty, her tulle skirt a delicate cloud around her frozen form. She is utterly still, a captive vision of grace awaiting release. A quietly elegant shop assistant, her movements precise and unhurried, approaches the cabinet. She opens the glass doors with a soft, almost imperceptible click, and with a gloved hand reaches for a small, ornate winding key at the side of the music box. You hear the faint, delicate whirring of the internal mechanism as she turns it, slowly, deliberately, a rising tension, a promise of awakening. Her eyes briefly meet yours, a shared moment of anticipation before her gaze returns to the ballerina. The silence in the room deepens, thick with expectation. Then with a final gentle click she withdraws her hand. For a breath nothing happens. Then a single crystalline note rings out, pure and bright, followed swiftly by others, weaving into a delicate, enchanting melody, a famous ballet perhaps, or a light, airy waltz. And as the music begins, the ballerina slowly, gracefully begins to turn. Her miniature body spins with an ethereal, dreamlike precision, her tiny arms swaying, her skirt flaring with each turn, reflecting the soft light in a shimmering dance. She twirls, pirouettes and dips, a perfectly choreographed performance, a mechanical heart beating with a fragile, beautiful life. The dance is mesmerizing, a fleeting moment of captured magic. It's an illusion of life so perfect in its execution, yet utterly bound by its mechanism. You feel a profound sense of awe, tinged with a delicate melancholy, watching this tiny figure dance her endless, perfect routine within her glass cage. It makes you wonder about the extraordinary beauty that can be found in things meticulously crafted, those intricate wonders that offer us a glimpse of the extraordinary in the mundane, holding both fragility and timeless grace within their delicate, whirring hearts. The delicate, almost otherworldly waltz from the music box continues to fill the salon, each note a pristine, perfectly spaced chime, echoing softly through the refined air. The miniature ballerina on its lid still twirls, her tiny ethereal form spinning with flawless precision beneath the crystal dome, an unending tableau of grace. Yet, as you continue to watch, a subtle, creeping unease begins to settle upon your senses, a cool shadow cast across the initial burst of wonder. The air, still rich with the lingering perfume of exotic flowers and fine cigars, now seems to carry a faint, almost imperceptible tang of cold, sterile metal, a metallic whisper that hints at the intricate, unfeeling mechanism hidden beneath the polished burl wood and glittering mother of pearl. Your initial awe, so easily given, now finds itself battling with a growing sense of detachment, a recognition of something profoundly artificial despite its breathtaking beauty. You lean in closer, your gaze drawn to the ballerina's exquisite hand-painted face. Her smile remains unchanging, fixed in an eternal serene beatitude, never wavering, never shifting with an unspoken emotion. Her delicate arms, forever poised, trace the same perfect arcs again and again, each movement identical to the last, each dip and pirouette an exact replica of the one before. There's no spontaneity, no spark of genuine life in her endless performance. The music, for all its intricate beauty and rich orchestral quality, begins to feel relentless, a looped sequence of flawless notes without pause, without breath, without the subtle human inflections, the tiny hesitations or accelerations that lend true feeling and soul to a musician's melody. It is perfect, yes, but this perfection now feels strangely hollow, unnervingly unvarying, almost monotonous in its unwavering precision, a beauty without heart. Beneath the clear, almost liquid purity of the chimes, you now distinctly catch a faint, rhythmic whirring, a delicate, almost mechanical tick-tick-tick that was previously lost in the broader symphony of the room, or perhaps deliberately ignored in the glow of the moment. It's the relentless sound of tiny gears grinding against each other, of springs coiling and uncoiling with tireless programmed intent, a constant, subtle hum of engineered parts performing their duties. It's an insistent, almost jarring reminder that this exquisite dancer, this graceful illusion, is entirely beholden to the cold, unforgiving precision of cogs and levers, to the predetermined path etched into a brass cylinder. The delicate glass dome, which once appeared as a protective, ethereal frame, now feels more like a cage, a shimmering, transparent prison from which the ballerina can never truly escape, condemned to her endless, unchanging, yet undeniably beautiful dance. The elegance is undeniable, but it's an elegance stripped of vulnerability, of spontaneity, of the very essence of human artistic expression. She exists solely to repeat, to replay, never to create anew. You observe the other guests, and in the polite smiles and appreciative nods, you begin to discern a similar fleeting trace of introspection on a few faces, a moment of quiet contemplation that moves beyond the surface glamour. It's a recognition of the inherent loneliness in such flawless mechanical repetition, a silent acknowledgement of the profound absence of genuine, vibrant life. The music box, for all its captivating charm and technical mastery, becomes a poignant symbol of a beauty that is utterly bound, a life that is meticulously programmed, never truly spontaneous, never truly free. As the waltz cycles yet again, you feel a peculiar blend of admiration for the craftsmanship and a subtle melancholic pity for the captive art. The air here is brutal. It's thick with the metallic tang of damp earth, the acrid bite of gunpowder, and the ever-present sickly sweet smell of stale fear. You can taste the grit and dust on your tongue, a gritty film that coats everything. The wind, a biting, relentless force, whips across a desolate, mud-caked landscape, carrying with it the distant, muffled thud of artillery fire and the mournful, guttural cries of men. It's 1916, and you're standing in the trenches of the Western Front, a world utterly stripped of beauty, replaced by a monochrome landscape of mud, barbed wire, and despair. You feel the damp, cold earth pressing through the worn soles of your boots, the biting chills seeping into your very bones. The sky overhead is a bruised, leaden grey, mirroring the bleakness below. The cacophony is almost constant, a brutal symphony of human destruction. Yet amidst this horrific din, a new, utterly incongruous sound emerges, so fragile it feels like a dream, so out of place it makes you question your own senses. It's the delicate tinkling notes of a music box, a simple, almost childlike tune barely audible above the relentless, brutal realities of war. Your gaze, drawn by the improbable sound, settles on a young soldier, barely more than a boy, huddled in a shallow dugout, half hidden by a mound of sandbags. His uniform is caked in thick, tenacious mud, his face smeared with grime and exhaustion, his eyes wide and vacant, staring into nothingness. His hands, chapped and raw, clutch something small and unassuming. It's a tiny music box, a simple wooden casing worn smooth by countless touches, its polished surface long since obscured by layers of dirt and human oils. You can almost feel the cold, hardened mud on his tunic, the rough fabric of his sleeves. He doesn't wind the key with the elegant precision of a connoisseur. Instead, his thumb rubs over it, almost frantically, a desperate, repetitive gesture before he gives it a quick, almost fearful turn. The melody that emerges is thin, almost reedy, struggling against the oppressive sounds of the battlefield, but it's undeniably there. It's a simple, familiar folk song, perhaps a nursery rhyme, something utterly devoid of grandiosity. Yet in this context, it feels like the most profound, most beautiful sound you have ever heard. He doesn't look up, doesn't acknowledge you or the world around him. His eyes remain distant, fixed on some internal landscape, his lips moving almost imperceptibly, as if he's silently humming along, trying to hold onto the fragile thread of sound. The music box isn't just playing a tune, it's a tiny, desperate anchor, a fragile bridge connecting him to a world of innocence and peace that feels impossibly far away, a memory, a hope, a whisper of home in the heart of unimaginable horror. In this wasteland of human suffering, the small, mud-stained box becomes a testament to the enduring human need for comfort, for beauty, for a flicker of hope, even when all seems lost. It makes you realize the extraordinary power of such small, unassuming objects to carry the immense weight of human resilience, providing a fragile, pocket-sized solace against the brutal, unrelenting realities of war. The delicate, almost impossibly fragile melody of the music box continues to spin its web of sound, a tiny, defiant oasis in the desolate, mud-caked landscape of the trench. The biting wind still whips at your face, carrying the relentless metallic tang of damp earth and the acrid ghost of gunpowder, but now beneath it you catch a new imagined scent. A fleeting whisper of old lavender and polished wood, a memory of a distant, cleaner world that the tune has conjured. The ceaseless, muffled thud of artillery, usually a gut-wrenching roar, now seems to recede, becoming a dull, distant pulse, as if the small, reedy notes are actively pushing the brutal realities of the battlefield further away, creating a fragile bubble of reprieve. You watch the young soldier, still huddled in the dugout, his mud-caked uniform a testament to the grim reality that surrounds him. His chapped fingers, still clutching the worn music box, now move with a softer, almost reverent touch, gently caressing its smooth, grime-obscured surface. The vacant stare in his eyes begins to soften, replaced by a profound, almost wistful absorption. A single tear, perhaps from the cold, perhaps from a wellspring of forgotten grief, slowly tracks a clean path down his grimy cheek, leaving a glistening streak in its wake. It's a silent, internal journey, a profound testament to the music's power. The simple, familiar folk song plays on, each note a precious, fleeting breath of another life. You perceive the subtle shift in his shoulders, a slight relaxation that was utterly absent moments ago, as if the relentless tension that had gripped him is momentarily easing its hold. He closes his eyes for a brief instant, a profound, almost desperate act of retreat to fully immerse himself in the private sanctuary the melody offers. In that moment, the biting cold of the trench seems to lessen, replaced by an internal warmth, a faint glow of memory and longing that radiates from within him, a stark contrast to the despair outside. He isn't just listening to the music. He is feeling it, allowing it to transport him, if only for these fleeting seconds, to a place far removed from the stench of death and the constant threat of destruction. The tiny, unassuming box becomes a precious portal, a fragile bridge connecting him to a world of hearth and home, of clean linen and laughter, a world that seems impossibly distant, yet is brought into vivid, heartbreaking focus by these mechanical notes. The melody is more than just sound. It's a silent prayer, a desperate clinging to hope, a whisper of humanity in the face of overwhelming barbarity. As the last note of the lullaby trembles and fades, leaving behind the stark reality of the trench, you realize the extraordinary, almost miraculous power of a simple tune to carve out a space for peace, for memory, for a defiant spark of life, even in the heart of war's brutal desolation. It makes you wonder how deep our need is for these small, perfect echoes of a cleaner, gentler world, to survive the ugliness that life sometimes throws at us. The air smacks you with a chaotic blend of smells. First, the sharp, exhilarating tang of salt whipping in from the vast grey expanse of the sea. Beneath that, the heavy, sooty aroma of burning coal belching from the funnels of immense steamships docked along the wharf mingles with the damp, earthy scent of timber and the faint, sweet perfume of exotic spices spilling from half-opened crates. It's an intoxicating, overwhelming assault on your nostrils, a truly colossal difference from the quiet desperation of the trenches. The ground beneath your feet, rough cobblestones worn smooth by generations of heavy carts, vibrates with a constant, low thrum, the deep, guttural sigh of a world in motion. You stand on a bustling Victorian dockside, a cacophony of sound enveloping you. Seagulls cry in harsh, insistent voices overhead, competing with the rhythmic clank of heavy chains, the groaning protest of ropes taut with strain, and the shouted commands of burly dockworkers. Your eyes sweep across a panorama of activity. Towering masts scrape the leaden sky, their rigging a dizzying, intricate web. Men with oil-stained hands heave colossal sacks onto waiting drays. Steam whistles shriek, sending shivers down your spine. The raw, unfiltered energy of global trade pulsates through the very air, making you feel both exhilarated and utterly insignificant. Your attention is suddenly caught by a small cluster of men, their movements surprisingly gentle amidst the surrounding rough and tumble. They are carefully lowering a particular wooden crate from the hold of a colossal merchant vessel, its hull scarred by countless journeys across unforgiving oceans. The crate itself is unassuming, but the way they handle it with a reverence entirely out of place for mere cargo speaks volumes. You notice one man, his face weathered by sun and sea, wipe a gloved hand across the top of the box with an almost tender gesture before directing its careful descent. As the crate is finally placed onto a waiting handcart, its side briefly rotates towards you, and you catch a glimpse of its contents through a narrow, reinforced opening. Nestled within, packed carefully in straw, is a music box. Not the grand, ornate kind, but a sturdy, travel-ready model, its lacquered wood casing gleaming even through the grime of the dock, catching the faint light with a soft, warm sheen. You can almost feel the smooth, cool polish of it beneath your fingertips, a stark contrast to the rough, splintery wood of the crate and the harsh, damp air around you. The scent of that lacquered wood, a refined, almost sweet aroma, now mingles distinctly with the prevailing smells of salt and coal, an unexpected whisper of elegance in this gritty, industrial setting. You see a slight figure dressed in more formal civilian clothes, perhaps a merchant or a shipping agent, approach the handcart. He nods once curtly to the dockworkers, then bends to inspect the music box, his gloved hand reaching in to brush away a stray piece of straw. His expression is unreadable, yet there's a flicker of proprietary interest in his eyes. This isn't just cargo, it's a commodity of culture, a piece of delicate artistry destined for a new home, a new life. You realize that these seemingly simple mechanisms, born in a workshop, crafted in a factory, carry within their intricate hearts not just melodies, but the very essence of human connection, journeying across oceans, bridging vast distances, transforming from a simple object into a vessel of shared stories and cherished emotions, destined to capture hearts in distant, unknown lands. The sheer scale of its journey from intimate creation to global commodity is truly remarkable. The air here is impossibly clean, crisp, with the sharp, invigorating scent of pine needles and damp earth, a profound contrast to the churning salt and coal of the docks. You hear the distant, haunting cry of an unfamiliar bird, a sound both wild and strangely beautiful, completely unlike the city's din. The sun, bright and unwavering, casts long, stark shadows across a clearing in the dense, ancient forest, illuminating a small, sturdy log cabin. Your boots sink slightly into the soft, loamy soil as you approach, smoke curling lazily from its stone chimney, carrying the comforting aroma of wood smoke and freshly baked bread. Inside, the light is warm and inviting, painting the rough-hewn timber walls with a golden glow. A family gathers around a simple, robust table, their faces etched with the hardiness of pioneers, their clothes practical and worn, yet a tangible flicker of anticipation dances in their eyes. They are carefully, almost reverently, prying open a stout wooden crate, the very one you saw on the bustling docks. The heavy lid is finally lifted, and a quiet, collective sigh escapes them as they carefully pull away the layers of straw packing. Nestled within, gleaming softly against the rough fibers, is the music box. It's the sturdy, travel-ready model you glimpsed earlier, its lacquered wood casing catching the cabin's light with a warm, inviting sheen. The woman, her hands calloused but gentle, lifts it out, holding it with a delicate care that speaks of its immense value. Her gaze sweeps over its surface, a faint, tender smile gracing her lips, a deep, silent recognition in her eyes. It's more than an object, it's a tangible piece of a world left behind, a connection to the familiar in this vast, untamed new land. She places it centrally on the table, and the children, their eyes wide with unadulterated wonder, lean in, their earlier boisterous energy completely subdued by the presence of this small, exquisite marvel. The man of the house, his strong, weathered hands surprisingly delicate, reaches for the winding key. You hear the soft, internal whir of the mechanism as he turns it, a sound of intricate precision in this rustic setting. A profound silence descends upon the room, broken only by the crackle of the fire and the distant cry of that wild bird. Then a single crystalline note rings out, pure and clear, followed by others, weaving into a gentle, familiar melody, a cherished waltz perhaps, or a popular air from a London ballroom. The music in this humble cabin feels impossibly delicate, almost fragile yet utterly powerful. It fills the space, pushing back against the wildness outside, imbuing the simple room with an instant, undeniable touch of old-world elegance, of refinement, of home. You watch the family, their faces softened, their eyes distant, lost in the delicate cascade of notes. The woman closes her eyes for a fleeting moment, a single tear tracing a path down her cheek, a poignant connection to memories far across the ocean. The music box becomes a silent, melodic bridge, transporting them, if only for a few precious minutes, back to the civilized comforts they left behind. It makes you understand how deeply we yearn for beauty, for connection, for the echoes of home, especially when forging a new life in an unfamiliar world, transforming a wild landscape with the gentle, resonant notes of a captured melody. The air here is cold, strangely still, carrying a pervasive, musty scent of aged wood, dust, and something metallic, perhaps the subtle, lingering aroma of rust and long-forgotten oils. You've stepped into what feels like a mausoleum of forgotten sounds, a vast, echoing chamber bathed in the dim, diffused light that filters through high, grimy windows. The floorboards beneath your feet groan with the weight of unseen history, each step reverberating in the profound quiet. You find yourself in a dimly lit attic, or perhaps a neglected storeroom, the air thick with the dust of decades. Around you, stacked precariously high on rickety shelves, are hundreds, perhaps thousands of music boxes. They are not gleaming, pristine objects. These are forgotten relics, their once polished surfaces dull with layers of dust, their intricate inlays chipped, their brass components tarnished green with age. It's an astonishing, almost overwhelming sight, a silent army of mechanisms, each one a miniature capsule of lost melodies. You feel a profound sense of melancholic wonder as you survey this silent graveyard of forgotten tunes. You reach out a hand, your fingers brushing against the rough, cold wood of a nearby shelf. Your gaze settles on one particular box, its once vibrant rosewood now faded to a pale, ghost-like shadow of its former glory. Its marquetry, the delicate deer you remember so vividly, is barely discernible beneath a thick blanket of grey dust and faint, cobweb-laced grime. The winding key, once so proudly polished, is now bent and rusted, a silent testament to years of disuse, a mute promise unfulfilled. You can almost feel the gritty texture of the dust beneath your fingertips, the cold, unyielding quality of the aged wood. You notice the sheer variety among these forgotten treasures. Some are grand, almost architectural in their design, with multiple cylinders and elaborate mechanical figures, their tiny glass domes now cloudy and cracked. Others are small, humble, pocket-sized creations, their simple wooden casings worn smooth, perhaps by the countless touches of a nervous thumb or a child's comforting grasp, their latent music now locked away by jammed mechanisms or broken springs. Each one in its silent dust-covered state whispers a story of a life once touched, a memory once cherished, a moment once brought to vibrant musical life. There's an almost tangible weight in the air, a silent pressure that emanates from these dormant objects. It's the weight of 1,000 silent songs, of countless forgotten waltzes, lullabies and folk tunes, all held captive within their intricate broken hearts. You lean closer to a particularly large box, its lid slightly ajar, revealing a glimpse of rusted gears and a broken comb tooth, a poignant symbol of a melody forever unfinished. It's a powerful reminder of how fleeting beauty can be, and how easily even the most cherished objects can succumb to the relentless march of time, becoming mere shadows of their former selves, holding their secrets in a profound, mechanical silence. You realize that in this attic you are not just surrounded by objects, but by the echoes of 1,000 lost moments, a silent symphony of memories awaiting rediscovery, or perhaps simply a final quiet fade into obscurity. The air here is cool, almost clinically clean, carrying a faint, precise scent of fine clock oil, a whisper of lemon-scented polish, and the dry, sweet tang of old parchment. You've entered a different kind of sanctuary, a quiet, almost sterile room bathed in the steady, focused light of electric lamps, a marvel of modern efficiency, a stark contrast to the dim, dusty attic. The sounds are minimal. A soft, rhythmic tick-tick-tick from an unseen clock, the gentle scrape of a tiny tool, and the almost imperceptible whisper of a soft brush. It's a place where time itself seems to be meticulously curated. You stand before a long, immaculately organized workbench, its surface free of any dust or clutter. Every tool, from the smallest tweezer to the most delicate screwdriver, is neatly arranged, gleaming under the bright light, each in its designated felt-lined recess. Your eyes are drawn to the figure bent intently over a music box. This isn't a factory worker nor a casual listener. This is a restorer, an artisan of resurrection, his hands moving with an almost reverential precision. He wears a clean white smock, his hair neatly combed, his concentration absolute, an almost fanatical devotion etched onto his features. The music box before him is one you might have recognized from the attic, an ornate, burled wood piece, its mother-of-pearl inlay now carefully cleaned, shimmering faintly. But it's currently disassembled, its inner workings laid bare with surgical care. You can see the delicate brass cylinder, covered in a constellation of pins, removed and resting on a velvet cloth. Beside it, the steel comb, its individual teeth gleaming like miniature piano keys, awaits reassembly. The restorer works with tiny brushes, meticulously dusting microscopic particles from gears, then uses an impossibly fine drop of oil from a needle-like applicator, placing it with breath-held accuracy onto a pivot point. His movements are slow, deliberate, each action a testament to an almost obsessive pursuit of perfection. You watch as he holds a magnifying loupe to his eye, peering intently at a minuscule spring, its coil barely visible to the naked eye, his breath held in a silent testament to the task's gravity. It's an act of deep reverence, not just for the object, but for the principle of flawless, rhythmic function it embodies. He isn't merely fixing a broken mechanism. He is restoring a piece of history to its intended, pristine order, chasing an ideal of engineered harmony. You feel a strange mix of admiration for such meticulous dedication and a subtle, almost unsettling sense of the human desire for absolute control, for the ability to force a chaotic world into a perfect, predictable rhythm. When he gently, almost tenderly secures a tiny, shining gear into place, the precision of the fit is palpable, a silent click that resonates with the profound satisfaction of achieved order. It makes you realize how deeply we are driven to perfect, to preserve, to bring order and beauty from decay, believing that within these intricate mechanical hearts, we can capture and control not just melodies, but the very essence of timeless, unblemished beauty, holding onto a transient ideal through the meticulous pursuit of perfected order. The air here is sharp, biting, infused with the gritty tang of exhaust fumes and the damp, metallic scent of a busy city street after a light rain. You hear the ceaseless, chaotic symphony of traffic, the blare of horns, the rumble of engines, the distant, indistinguishable shouts of street vendors, all creating a relentless, overwhelming din. Your feet, tired from walking, feel the hard, unforgiving concrete beneath them, each step jarring your bones. It's the modern day, the hurried, impatient rhythm of a bustling urban sprawl, a world utterly removed from the genteel Victorian parlors and dusty workshops you've explored. You're standing on a busy street corner surrounded by a swirling current of commuters, their faces impassive, their footsteps hurried. But then, a different kind of sound, a mechanical melody both familiar and yet strangely amplified, cuts through the urban clamor. It's the unmistakable, wheezing, reedy notes of an organ grinder, struggling to make itself heard above the city's roar. The music is jaunty, almost defiantly cheerful, a tinny, repetitive tune that feels like a ghost from another era, stubbornly clinging to existence in this fast-paced world. Your gaze is drawn to the source, an old man, his shoulders slumped, his face a roadmap of weathered lines, a lifetime of struggle etched into every crease. He wears a threadbare, faded coat perpetually too large for his gaunt frame, and a cap pulled low over his eyes. His hands, gnarled and thick-knuckled, grip the heavy crank of a battered wooden street organ, its ornate carvings chipped and faded, its once vibrant paint flaking away to reveal the raw wood beneath. The entire instrument looks impossibly heavy, a cumbersome, archaic burden in this sleek, modern landscape. You can almost feel the rough, splintered wood of the crank beneath his hands, the weary ache in his arms as he pushes against the unseen resistance of the mechanism. His movements are slow, laborious, each turn of the crank a visible effort, a testament to his fading strength. A faint, rhythmic groan emanates from the organ with each rotation, a protesting sigh of rusty gears and ancient bellows, a raw, mechanical counterpoint to the tinny melody that struggles forth. He doesn't meet anyone's gaze. His eyes are fixed on a point just beyond the hurrying feet of the passers-by, an expression of profound weariness, yet also an unwavering, quiet determination to keep the music playing. A small, forlorn-looking monkey dressed in a faded scarlet waistcoat sits perched atop the organ, its tiny, hopeful hand extended, occasionally chattering softly, its eyes mirroring the man's quiet resignation. Very few people pause. They glance, they hurry past, their expressions ranging from mild irritation to a fleeting moment of pity. Coins, when they appear, are dropped quickly, almost anonymously, into the monkey's outstretched palm or a small tin cup. This isn't entertainment, it's a silent plea for survival, a stubborn, poignant act of endurance. You feel the immense, almost crushing weight of the organ grinder's burden, not just the physical weight of the instrument, but the heavy load of a forgotten craft, a fading era, clinging to the periphery of a world that no longer seems to have a place for its gentle, mechanical melodies. It makes you realize the profound, often difficult human effort required to keep even the simplest of traditions, of arts, alive in a world that relentlessly marches forward, leaving so much beautiful history in its wake. The weary, tinny melody of the organ grinder's music box continues its struggle against the relentless roar of the city, a fragile, almost defiant protest in the face of indifference. Your feet feel the cold, hard press of the pavement, and the gritty air still carries the sharp tang of exhaust fumes and damp concrete. Most of the hurried commuters sweep past, their faces impassive, their gaze fixed straight ahead, as if the old man and his ancient instrument are merely inconvenient blurs in their peripheral vision. The rhythm of his cranking hand remains slow, labored, each turn a visible effort against the unseen resistance within the battered mechanism. Then, a sudden, unexpected break in the ceaseless flow of humanity occurs. A figure dressed in a simple, practical coat pauses. Your gaze locks onto their hand as it reaches into a pocket, emerging with something small and gleaming. You hear the sharp, clear asterisk clink asterisk of metal as a coin, silver and cold, drops into the monkey's waiting, outstretched hand. It's a sound that cuts through the general clamor, distinct and meaningful, a small act of connection in a world seemingly determined to rush by. The monkey, usually forlorn, suddenly perks up, its tiny head cocking to one side, its dark, intelligent eyes blinking once at the coin, then quickly up at the giver. It chatters softly, a surprised, almost joyful sound. For the first time, the organ grinder looks up. His eyes, previously distant and weary, now meet the stranger's for a fleeting moment. You perceive a flicker of something profound there, not just gratitude, but perhaps a brief spark of acknowledgement, a momentary lifting of the heavy burden that clings to his slumped shoulders. It's a look that holds a lifetime of unspoken stories, a silent thanks that transcends mere words. His lips, previously set in a grim line, soften almost imperceptibly, a faint, fleeting shadow of a smile. The stranger offers a small, almost bashful nod, a gesture of quiet, unassuming kindness, before turning to rejoin the ceaseless current of passers-by, swallowed by the crowd as quickly as they appeared. But the impact of their brief stop lingers. The organ grinder's hand, gripping the heavy crank, finds a renewed, almost imperceptible surge of energy. The wheezing, reedy tune of the music box seems to gain a tiny measure of strength, a hint of its former jauntiness returning, as if revitalized by the small offering. The monkey, clutching its coin, settles back onto the organ with a contented rustle of its faded scarlet waistcoat, its gaze now fixed on its master with a renewed sense of shared purpose. You feel a warmth spread through you, a subtle comfort in the face of the city's cold indifference. It's astonishing how a single simple gesture, a small coin dropped into a waiting palm, can momentarily shift the very atmosphere, transforming a moment of struggle into a fleeting spark of human connection, a brief shared joy in an otherwise relentless day. It makes you realize that even in the most anonymous and hurried of worlds, the smallest acts of kindness can still resonate with immense power, breathing a fragile, vibrant life into the most forgotten corners, a testament to the enduring capacity of the human heart to find and share a moment of simple grace. The air is thick here, heavy and cold, carrying a profound, musty scent of damp plaster, decaying wood, and the stale, lingering aroma of dust that seems to have settled for centuries. You've entered a forgotten corner of an old, abandoned house, a place where time has deliberately slowed, where silence reigns supreme, broken only by the distant creak of the structure settling and the faint whisper of a breeze through a broken windowpane. The floorboards beneath your feet are warped and uneven, each step producing a low, protesting groan that echoes eerily in the vast, empty space. Your gaze sweeps across the scene, a tableau of neglect and decay. Wallpaper peels in curling strips like dry skin, revealing layers of forgotten patterns beneath. Furniture shrouded in white dust sheets stands like silent, ghostly figures, their forms softened, distorted by the accumulated grime. It's a place that feels haunted not by spirits, but by the lingering echoes of lives once lived within its walls. Then a sound, utterly unexpected, pierces the profound stillness. It's a delicate, almost ethereal melody, so faint it feels like it might vanish if you blink too hard. It's the distinct, tinkling notes of a music box, playing a simple, haunting tune that feels both familiar and deeply melancholic. The sound seems to emanate from a corner of the room, drawing you closer, a ghostly whisper from the past. You feel a prickle of goosebumps on your arms, a chill that has nothing to do with the cold air. Hidden beneath a sagging, dust-laden sheet, on what might once have been a child's nightstand, sits a small, plain wooden music box. It's clearly very old, its once polished surface now dull and scarred, its winding key rusted firmly in place, unmoving. There's no visible hand to turn it, no obvious source for the faint spectral tune that continues to emanate from its forgotten heart. Yet it plays. The melody is hesitant, sometimes faltering, a delicate cascade of notes punctuated by faint, almost imperceptible clicks and tiny internal groans, as if the mechanism itself is struggling, resisting, yet stubbornly persisting. It's the very same lullaby you heard in the nursery, the one that soothed a baby to sleep and later provided solace in grief. But here it carries an entirely new weight, the profound echo of a memory, playing itself out in a forgotten room. You lean in, your breath held, trying to understand how it's still producing sound. Is it a trick of the mind? A subtle shift in the decaying mechanism coaxed by a draft of air? Or is it something else entirely, a residual energy from a lifelong past, a ghost in the machine refusing to be silenced, replaying a cherished moment for an audience of dust and shadows? The music box becomes more than a mechanical object. It's a living, breathing artifact of memory, giving voice to a past that refuses to fully disappear. It makes you wonder about the indelible marks we leave behind, the unseen imprints of our lives that linger in objects and places, sometimes against all odds, finding a way to sing their silent, poignant truths long after we are gone. This is a melody that holds an entire lifetime within its delicate, ethereal chimes. The ghostly, hesitating melody of the music box continues to drift through the cold, dust-laden air of the abandoned room, its delicate notes now feeling even more fragile, more distant. The musty scent of damp plaster and decay seems to press in, making the air heavy, almost viscous. You listen, your breath held, as the familiar lullaby begins to waver, its rhythm faltering, each chime becoming less distinct, more stretched out, as if the very sound itself is struggling to hold on. The faint internal clicks and groans of the mechanism, once subtle counterpoints, now become more pronounced, tiny, painful protests against its slow, inevitable surrender. You lean closer to the small, plain wooden box, still hidden beneath its shroud of dust and cobwebs. Its rusted winding key remains unmoving, a mute symbol of its brokenness, yet the music continues, albeit with increasing difficulty. The notes grow fainter, more ethereal, almost transparent, like whispers on a dying breeze. One note sounds, then there's a longer pause than before, a hesitant gap where the next chime should be. Then another, weaker than the last, barely perceptible, trembling on the edge of silence. It's like watching a candle flame flicker, desperately trying to cling to existence, its light dimming, dancing on the precipice of extinction. And then it happens, the melody breaks. The last faint chime hangs in the air for an exquisite, elongated moment, a solitary, trembling echo, and then it is gone. Utter, complete silence descends upon the room, a profound quiet that is heavier, colder, more absolute than before. It presses in on your ears, a sudden, shocking void where the ghostly music once was. The creak of the old house settling, the whisper of the wind through the broken window, which had been drowned out by the phantom tune, now rush back in, sounding amplified, stark in the overwhelming absence of melody. You reach out, your fingers hovering over the silent, still music box, its dusty surface now inert, lifeless. It's just an old, broken object once more, a hollow shell. The magic has departed, the spirit that animated its decaying gears has finally completely faded away. The lullaby is finished, its final notes having dissolved into the long centuries of forgotten history. The music box is no longer a marvel playing a ghost of a tune. It is a memory, a vessel of stories that will now only live in the imagination, triggered by its silent presence. You realize that sometimes the most profound beauty, the most poignant connection, exists only in the brief, fleeting moment of its expression. And when that expression ceases, the object transforms, becoming not an end, but a powerful, silent monument to what once was, carrying the weight of all its unspoken melodies and all the hearts it once captured, now and forever, in quiet, resolute memory. It makes you feel the true, bittersweet weight of time, and how even the most vibrant of lives and melodies eventually become echoes in the vast, still chamber of the past. The air here is sharp, almost sterile, carrying a distinct, clean scent of metal polish, a faint wisp of delicate oil, and the dry, slightly medicinal aroma of a well-maintained workshop. You've entered a different kind of inner sanctum, one of focused precision, where the outside world feels distant and irrelevant. The soft, diffuse light from a single high window falls directly onto a workbench, illuminating it with an almost surgical clarity. Your fingers brush against the cool, smooth wood of the bench, feeling the minute vibrations of an unseen, intricate process. You lean closer, your gaze drawn to a pair of hands. They are old, gnarled with age and etched with the telltale marks of countless hours of meticulous, painstaking work, yet they move with a surprising, unwavering steadiness. These hands belong to a master restorer, perhaps the same one you observed earlier, but now his focus is even more intense, his brow furrowed in a profound concentration that speaks of a challenge, an almost personal struggle. He is working on the internal mechanism of a music box, its wooden casing temporarily removed, revealing its exposed, intricate heart. The very first thing you notice, the source of his intense focus, is a single bent metal tooth on the steel comb. It's tiny, almost